Okay, and here we are. Welcome, everyone. I am Kris, and today I want to talk to you about why we are here. I'll be juggling a little bit the clicker and my laptop. But so 3 years ago, I gave a presentation in Paris called Mad as Hell. And it was a kind of call to arms. Like, I feel today everyone is mad, but it's not exactly what I meant. The current polarization in the world is pretty paralyzing, also to myself. But at the same time, I feel very much awake. And this presentation is about why this matters, to be awake. So every single line of code, every interaction, you need to be aware of the ripple effect that you are causing. So I wish this for everyone, that you feel awake, that you're aware, that you are accountable for the past, the present, the future, everything that you contribute to. So I am just a node in a network, but I want to tell you my story because maybe this resonates for some of you. So I was born in 1980, so I'm like a total dinosaur, totally super old for crypto. But so I witnessed the dawn of the global internet, and what struck me is how permissionless it felt. So anything I could think of, I needed a little like software for my computer. Someone had already built it. I could just find it on the internet. Anons helped each other out. It was beautiful. It was glorious. And yeah, it was so nice to see this permissionlessness. Times evolved, of course, but still, at the time, I was inspired, and Macs were a joke at the time, so I wanted to work for Microsoft. So I did. So I believed in their mission of realizing your potential, putting a PC on everyone's desk. And so I worked there for 5 years, and it was fantastic. I really learned about hierarchies, how you can push people down, how you can extract maximum value for the shareholders, and really not care about your customers at all. And I was not totally convinced just yet, so I did a number of other Silicon Valley type jobs. And then TLDR is basically I went really to the belly of the beast, and I got it all. I got a great car, great salary, it was all fantastic. I had everything, but I felt nothing. And then I burnt out. I really burnt out, and then after a while, I discovered crypto. And that was so different. Suddenly, there was hope. And there, like salary-wise, I had nothing, but I felt everything. And so I started at Swarm City. For the people who remember this, like it's a long time ago in the beginning. 2017, there was, oh, sorry, not keeping up with my slides here. But so yeah, I worked for them, and then there was the parity hack. And at the parity hack, we lost all of our funds, but I didn't care. I just continued working for free because there was this visceral idealism. We were building radical alternative systems. It was cypherpunk, it was anarchist, it was powerful, it was really beautiful. But then, yeah, at some point, I did need to move on, everyone else did. And I went to work for Giveth. This was totally my post-money era. I didn't even have money to make rent, but the same vibe. It was like really the opposite side of the spectrum. Like I started working at Gitcoin then, and like coming from Microsoft, it was really something else. And then these damn airdrops started to happen. Like I had some tokens, and then I had some more tokens, and then suddenly I felt rich. And that was a weird feeling, and I started to feel safe. And I started to thrive. And that was something new. There was abundance, and it was really a nice feeling. Never had that. But then, then this happened, and that was not such a great moment. I lost all my savings, life-changing amount of money. I was just doing my job, froze in the headlights, and this moment symbolizes a lot for me. So I was angry that I lost my money, that it was still such a centralized system, that this was possible, that someone, or just a few people could still rock pool so many people. And this was the proof that we had to continue building. This was just the start. But at the same time, I went deeper and I discovered that my anger was also linked to the fact that my greed clashed with their greed. And that was a very important moment for me. So I went through like 2 of these cycles of like hope and disillusionment. So first from like, open source beginnings of the internet to hyper individualistic cutthroat companies, and then like this new world with strong values to everything about short-term value. So anyways, this is just like my story, but I'm sure you all have yours for people who have been here for a while, and I am ready for the third act. So I want to try something else. I want to like have a nervous breakthrough. And for that, I think we need a clarity of mission. Why are we here? So for me, the mission is for all of us to thrive, the people and the planet. For this, we need to sustain and grow this subculture that we have and expand it further out. But we also need to be honest with ourselves. We need to acknowledge that there is greed, and we need to mitigate so that we don't succumb to it. So first, let's define the problem space a little bit. Like this guy said, greed is good, and I think that is not correct. Like greed just is. It is real. And we need to face this. We need to face our own demons. So I want to talk a little bit about the legacy world and the similarities with this new one that we are building. Because how can we build new systems if we don't fully grasp the existing ones, or the existing one? So this tweet kind of sums it up for me. Like degen is the primary culture in Ethereum, and that's kind of ironic because we set out to fight Wall Street. We set out to build the exact opposite. So we need to be aware, like this is this critical juncture that we can either overtake the world or be overtaken by it. The stakes could not be higher, and success is definitely not guaranteed. So I see these three attack factors, and I want to go into all of them a little bit. So this is the things that fuel everything in the outside world, and it's invading us at a hyper fast speed. We cannot get sloppy. And we need to be very aware. So first, let's talk about corporate. So if you go outside, if you still do that, you might have noticed that the world is not looking so great. The Western project is failing. The US empire is entirely collapsing. There are interdependent catastrophes, and we haven't witnessed this in generations. So I had like a lot of slides, but like this kind of like sums it up. Like, you all know this, like, but we just don't want to know. We want to look away, but we shouldn't. We really have to confront the fact that like late stage capitalism is just eating us alive, and all systems are failing. So just as a simple annoying reminder, like 1%, these are some simple numbers, like 1% of the richest people own 46% of all the wealth in the world. The 50% of the entire worldwide population has less than 1% of the wealth in the world. A CEO makes 350 times the salary of the average worker, which is like tenfold as it was like in the 70s. Big Oil has made $220 billion of net profit in the last year, while people's their power bills have just exploded. And there's about 3,000 billionaires who together own $11 trillion declared. It's probably a lot more, and we're not even talking about crypto. So there's that situation, and that is then, next to this, you also have the war economy. So in the past year, we've spent about $2.5 trillion on war, and the biggest war economy in the world has been pushing for this, and things are escalating just a little bit. So we'll see what the next US administration will do here, but even if they don't do anything, the ball is rolling. A lot of things are happening. And all of this is the economy. It's the most powerful force on Earth. So, what do we do with this? This is one thing that I still wanted to tell you about the corporation, which is like a great documentary that you can find on YouTube as well. And it tells us why all of this is happening. Everything is driven by this company ethos. And it compares a company with the characteristics of a psychopath. And this vibe is also in this world. The only difference is like we are doing this on steroids, there are no protections. And most people, and that is something that I find very interesting and remarkable, most people have never even worked in a company. So they are not very aware of how this is invading us. So I see this widening gap between, on the one hand side, like these cute little regens, who are the activists, like the hippies who want to make the world a better place, and then you have the degens. And it becomes wider and wider, and people are also proud of this. They're not hiding that they're degen. It's like a label they're carrying, because most people came into this space because of value with a small v. So that means that people don't see the difference anymore between the numbers, the values on a screen, versus what is actually valuable for human beings. So I see this mentality all the time that we are capitalist creatures by nature, but we are not. That is something that we have been programmed to be. In the beginning, money was just a unit of value that we used to track debts and to make trades. But then we started trading the units themselves, and this poisoned everything. And then now, oh, sorry, I forgot the slide. And then now we have this programmable money, and we have all the energy is here. This is what we're building, and we have a lot of information asymmetry, to put it politely. Everything is focused on this short-term gain focus. So if we look at the future, I think the worst possible outcome is that we go into deep economic warfare. The mass value extraction increases even more. Governments won't be able to regulate anything, and they will just join the circus. They will hoard the tokens as well. And my nightmare is that we just have a bunch of network states that arm up, that protect themselves, and there's even more poverty, and the people are dying even more in the streets than they currently are. And I think that's not what we have to do. I think there's an alternative. The idea of that the market will just figure it out, we've tried it as well in the past. It is not working. But we're not seeing this, because everyone is speaking in tongues. They have like different languages. We all have our bags, and it's like, it's gonna be great, it's gonna be awesome, everything's well. But it's not. This is truly the Trojan horse. So we need to design for this greed. And we can do this with mechanisms to realign the incentives. So there's stuff like bonding curves. There's the Token Engineering Academy that has done a lot of great work. They stopped last week. I assume it's because they ran out of funding. But we need more of these. All of these people who are working on realigning incentives, focusing on that, those are the public goods. So money is just a tool to an end, and that's what we need to be aware of. Personal wealth will come. If your community has wealth, then as a byproduct, your personal wealth will come. We've seen the slide in the beginning. There is enough wealth available. We just need to redistribute just a little bit. But yeah, we are asleep at the wheel. We're not really like aware of this, and that's why this is an important addition to me, and that often is underestimated. We're all addicts. I know I am. So people have never felt so lonely and isolated. The algorithms feed you a lot of content all the time, even a lot of quality content, but we're all distracted. We are hyper-consuming. We have supercomputers pointed at our brain. And so we're all sedated. We're asleep. Most of the people are very deep asleep. The algorithms have won. We are offline. We are harmless. And we are part of the largest social engineering experiment in the world. People are angry, they're frustrated, they're depressed, they're ready for blood. And together with the economy, this is a powder keg. And I honestly don't think that any entrepreneur or politician is going to save us. Sorry, but we've tried that. Either we let it's going to kill us, or we're going to kill others. And like, you know, the one does not exist. But we all together, we can make a change. That's what Ethereum is about. That's what blockchain is about. So we need to align, and we need a mission. For me, the mission is really about flourishing. And so crypto connects, and this is by design. So we cut out the middleman with blockchain. So we actually can help people reach their highest potential. I truly believe that this is what we can do, but first we need to thrive ourselves. So just as I mentioned that there's 3 attack vectors, there's also 3 antidotes. So for me, this one is the most underestimated. We are a community. We are a very strong subculture. We have the best memes. We have the best geeks. And we are activists with unstoppable tech, and that is the best weapon of them all. So community is immunity. This is the antidote to all the algorithms. And I really think we're not capitalist creatures. We are social creatures. We are community seekers. We want to belong. And we have proved in the past already that we are a community. Like, look at the merge, and we're still gonna surge and verge and purge and splurge. And companies can simply not build this shit. It depends on favors. It depends on going the extra mile. This is not money driven. This is culture driven. And we already have this culture. We just need to nurture it. So on this one, I've changed my opinion so many times. I've worked in multiple DAOs, and it's horrible, it's slow, it's messy, but you cannot build what you do not live. But people are burning out at a quick speed. Everyone is tired. I'm personally also very tired. So we need to nourish the people. We need people. We need coaches. I really think that just giving people higher and higher salaries in DAOs is just toxic. It attracts the wrong kind of people. It attracts the sociopaths. It drives out the geeks and the missionaries. And we need more missionaries instead of the mercenaries. So I don't think we are going to get there with more KPIs and GMV, but we need to bring value with a capital V. But okay, so we need values and principles, great, but where do we start? And I think this is what this conference is all about. The work has already been done. So we have the Declaration of Independence of Cyberspace, which is a very simple old text, still stands. We have the Cypherpunk manifesto. Now we have the Ethereum Cypherpunk manifesto as well. And these are just like some of the core principles in there, and it's as simple as that. And why start there? Why focus on this? Because it's still all about the internet. It's what can get us out of this eternal cycle of empires rising and falling. It's what connects us, and this time it is unstoppable. So if we just live by these pillars and we call out the people who are making exceptions to these pillars, to these rules, then we can get there. We just need to ship. Okay, so we got communities, we got values, but even people who agree on these points, they still disagree. Because we're all so different. We have our own background, we have our own knowledge, our traumas, our own habits. And I think we can fix this by just, again, more awareness, by taking the time. You can learn by unlearning. And I think we can do this by reconnecting on 3 levels, the intellectual, the physical, and the spiritual. So let's start with the intellectual. I have learned from so many people far outside of the space. I read all the time, and I still feel so stupid. So I personally rarely tweet. And it's surreal to me to see all these KOLs posting the weirdest takes and getting like thousands of likes. I'm like, what are you talking about? This misses so much context. So I think more of the people in this space, in this very event, should be tweeting, creating podcasts, hold salons, get together and educate. We need people to learn. We need to infuse also our subculture with everything that has been done for thousands of years. We need to bring in this existing knowledge and the people with this knowledge. And we need to incentivize this. So this weekend at Funding the Commons, Juan Bennett was talking about that every project should give 10% of their budget to public goods. Well, I hope we can give at least like 2 or 3% to adding context and culture, because that is a public good. So we need to cross-pollinate more on this level, and so I'm putting myself out there and I'm just throwing in some tips of some things that have inspired me. So here are some documentaries. Samsara is a very old one, but it's beautiful, and it goes on into the cyclical nature of everything. And if you are really aware of how cyclical everything is in history and around us, only then you can get to the next level, then you can make it to nirvana. The second one, most people probably know, but when I look online, it feels that nobody knows this. So if you have watched it, please watch it again. Century of the Self is available. It's also a pretty old one, I think from the 80s or 90s. It's available for free on YouTube, and it goes very deep into all the psychoanalytic techniques that are being used to manipulate us, to control the public opinion and foster consumerism. And this goes so deep. again, I feel some people are not very aware of how influenced we are all the time. Then, movie-wise, I'm a big movie buff, so I could put so much, but I had to definitely put in V for Vendetta. I could have also put in Fight Club and The Matrix, but these things still, I'm still enthusiastic about these movies. They're classics, and it's about people coming together and rising up, and that's what we are doing. There is a power in numbers, and on that note, like if you have seen the remake of The Matrix, like for me that is so funny if it wouldn't be so sad, like how The Matrix has ever actually overtaken The Matrix. So like give it a watch and cry. The Zone of Interest is about the Holocaust, and it's a very good movie to be aware of how we are all just taking care of our family and thinking of our own short-term needs. It's such a beautiful way of expressing how it's always business as usual and how we are all just humans. Dark Waters is a little gem of a movie, but I could have just as well put Aaron Brockovich there, and that's like how it takes just one person to speak up, to stand up, and that is also what this movement is about. Books, I could put so many books here, but I noticed that many people don't know this first one, but I see it as a perfect allegory for blockchain. It's about a world where there is hyper-transparency. Imagine a world where everyone knows everything about everyone. In a way, it's the opposite of the privacy conference, but you should read it. It's actually not. And it does a lot to the human psyche. The Fountainhead, I have a lot of respect for Ayn Rand about the power of the individual. But then at the same time, I put in this one, Walk Away, which talks about the spirit of Burning Man, of collaboration. And then Ursula Le Guin is actually about the power of socialism. And I wanted to put these two on there because, especially for the more US-centric people in the room, it's always a dirty word. But the thing is, you can juxtapose it. There can be good in many things, and two things can hold truth at the same time. So, and that is what we need to focus on. More culture, more learning from each other. Then, these are just some of the links that inspired this very presentation, so I put it under intellect as well. And I want to see what inspires you. This is just a conversation starter. So like, what inspires you on a daily basis? What drives you? And take the time to listen, to absorb. So then, the physical connection is so important. It was beautiful in Chiang Mai to see, as I've never seen it before, so many residences pop up, so many people get together, and this is where the deeper alliances are formed. This is where we become, in a way, I hope, a peaceful army. Plus, next to this, you have a lot of permanent hubs that are popping up all over the place, so we are getting there. If you don't have a local hub just yet, build one. There are endless examples of how you can do this, and we need them. We need to get together. Then also, just as a recommendation, like hug people. Like, it personally changed my life. If anyone later around or at any of the moments and you want to hug, just come over. Like, very, very important. Then, talking about connection, could not miss out on this. Like, you all need therapy. We all need therapy. I've been taking therapy my entire life. I've been making so many lousy decisions in my life, but I'm owning them. And so we need to be humble. We all got lucky. All the people who are here got lucky. And we need to be hyper aware of our own trauma. I really believe this, because we will code in our mistakes or thoughts if we are not aware that we have a shadow side. And we all do. You need to be able to deconstruct yourself before you build. So all of this that I've been talking about is what Vitalik calls like the social layer. We need to build holistically toward a more open and free society. So to some extent, you can enforce this culture and sanction where pure incentives don't work, and very often they don't. So my call to action is like, let's make Ethereum great again, or let's make it great or cool, and let's counter the attack vectors with a focus on community, values, connection. That is the secret sauce. And we will get there if we all see the importance of spreading this subculture. And for me, this event in itself and the many events are the proof like how strong this subculture is. We need to thrive to survive. So this is an evolution. It's not a revolution. It's naive to believe that you can save the world, but it's also naive to believe that you cannot change it one by one. It's not a war. The wars will happen without us. But it is a dance, it's an evolution, and they are fighting us at the same time, and they will keep fighting us harder and harder. There will be some blood on the dance floor, but I think it's very important that we keep dancing. So why are we here? Why are you here? I want you to be aware, to know why, and to have some hope and to spread it. So I love this quote that a friend told me, like, we are not born into this world, we are born out of this world. No one is free until we are all free. We are all one. So let's integrate our Moloch, and greed is real, but we can all thrive. So let's connect. Thank you.